How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Sinister the Gamer section bringing you another interview with a dev. Before we go ahead and begin, I hope you enjoy our content. Hey, feel free to drop your questions, during the interview. With that being said, I'm going to let our guest introduce himself.
Hello, I'm William James. I'm the creator and director of Witches of the New World, which is an upcoming video game for the PS5, initially scheduled to release in the second quarter of 2025.
Okay, cool, cool. All right. First things first. What got you into gaming?
Yeah, well, for me was the career. I studied fine arts, which in Venezuela it's called illustration. And
Okay,
yeah, I jumped between filmmaking and marketing for about 12 years. And then when I migrated to Mexico City,
okay,
and here I finally got the opportunity. Well, before in Venezuela, I did a couple of odd jobs
okay,
as a concept artist for different small indie projects, kind of modded gaming and that kind of things. And yeah, when I arrived in Mexico City, I was lucky enough to find this company called Tagwiz, which is a gaming company that focuses on services, but we also do a lot of experiments and research and development through the development of our own games, initially for mobile, and well, eventually we jump into PC and platform gaming, which is this is our first big project in that regard, and
okay.
we created the horizontal brand, which is what you can see in the branding of Witches of a New World, to be more consumer friendly
All right.
as opposite to Tagwis, which is very business focused. So
Okay. You say you're from Venezuela? What area?
yeah,
Okay.
Caracas from the capital. Yeah,
Oh, capital city. Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Oh, did you have like any favorite games growing up, or before you tackled your project?
Favorite games that I playing right now?
Oh, like growing up until now.
Growing up up until now. Oh wow. Well, the list is long, but again, I guess that yeah, the first game that I was really into it was the first Jedi Knight, Dark
Okay.
Forces 2 from
Okay.
1997,
All
and
right.
yeah, that was a big deal to me. In fact, I still for level design specifically, I still draw a lot from that game, which had a lot of verticality. I mean, for that time, it was a very impressive level design.
Right.
And then, growing up, the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time trilogy.
Okay.
I believe, it's one of my all-time favorite
Right.
franchises. And well, right now, and I'm also well, I'm a stick jockey, as they
Okay.
say. I'm a lot into flight simulator, specifically
Right.
space flight sims.
Okay.
From X-Wing Alliance, which was the first one that I played like when I was 11 with my fair joystick.
Okay.
And right now I'm into kind of the Elite Dangerous. Haven't tried Star Citizen yet, but it's on the
Right.
list. And currently, well, obviously I'm a lot into Souls-like games, and yeah, I'm now exploring a little bit of roguelike, which I never had before. Things
Okay.
like Returnal or Hades, which are, I believe, that have great content, and the way
Okay.
they manage the budget through repetition without becoming repetitive.
Right.
It's really impressive to me. So yeah, I'm trying to combine a lot of stuff in this Witches game, which have draw the attention of some major publishers, some small publishers. We're still in negotiations, trying to rescope, the game to a budget that makes sense.
Okay. Cool.
Um, but yeah, actually, we just have a meeting with our angels at Epic,
All right.
which has been super helpful in the technical side. And yeah, they're also really excited with some of the things that we're trying to do and how we're mixing, a couple of genres in a very cohesive kind of way.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right. All right. What's your studio called? And how did you come up with the name?
yeah. No, the studio is Tagwiz. It's not mine. I have a
Oh,
CEO,
okay.
which is called Adrian Himate Welsh. He's for France. He's a
Okay.
veteran from Ubisoft. He worked 14 years at Ubisoft.
Okay.
Then he changed to Gameloft, and then he came to Mexico and started his own company with a focus on services. And yeah, about around 2016, where the creative side of the company was really small. Well, he found me. I have a little bit of experience on the gaming side, as a concept
Okay.
artist, and I have a lot of experience as an art director for marketing and for filmmaking, indie filmmaking from Venezuela. Nothing anybody has ever heard of.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, we created a great connection, and yeah, we kick it off right off. We kick it right off. So yeah, I helped her with this project, and I managed some of the clients of the company, and eventually, I was always pushing to create our own thing
Okay.
outside of the service part, which of course in Latin America is I believe that is the thing that have kept us alive,
All right.
because the industry in this region is not very developed yet,
Right.
which is kind of what we're trying to change with Witches of the New World. So
All right. All right. On to your project. How did you come up with the idea of Witches of the New Worlds? Like, did you come up with it, or was it somebody else, like a
no,
team?
yeah, this is my baby. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, at this point, I have a lot of collaborators and people that have brought, a lot of good stuff into the concept. But yeah, initially, basically, the thing was that I wanted to play another Castlevania, and there isn't one.
Okay.
So everything started with that small idea, and of course, I'm a lot into history and literature. So
Same
yeah, I
here.
started with the basic concept, basically this kind of monster hunting game, but not unlike the witch, something like The Witcher.
Right.
Something more focused on classical monsters, like vampires, werewolf, witches in
Right.
this case.
Right.
So yeah, after that, by that time, Funcom had acquired the rights to Robert E. Howard's estate. So they now have not only Conan the Barbarian but also Solomon Kane, which is a very interesting character for me. So yeah, the first concept of the game was, well, I would like to make a Solomon Kane game. So I get in touch with Funcom and try to get licenses because that's the way that they work.
Right.
But yeah, I consulted with my lead writer, which is a 100% literature writer with a couple
Uh-huh.
of books published, and he checked the some of the short stories and comic books from Solomon Kane, and he arrived to the conclusion that it was better for me to create my own Puritan character.
All right.
And yeah, witches witches as a monster is one
Uh-huh.
of my favorite fantasy or mythological monsters or creatures. I mean, not necessarily as something that you could find in reality, but witches as a monstrous concept is something
Uh-huh.
that even in Dungeons and Dragons, which I'm a huge fan of, the tabletop game, I always put witches in my adventure because I really like them. So yeah,
Right.
I start to review historical archives from the 17th century, and even before that, going back to the Malleus Maleficarum, written by Kramer
Uh-huh.
in Germany. And yeah, we gather enough information to kind of like to do something that is in the realm of historical fiction, mixing two different sides. I mean, basically, obviously, the witch hunting craze was something horrible from a social
Right.
standpoint of view.
Right.
It's a very traumatic event both for Europe and for the United States and the New World.
Right.
But yeah, basically, and going back to the work of Robert E. Howard, which is one of my inspirations to at least the way that the story is conceived. One thing that I like about his work, specifically in Conan the Barbarian, is that it is both a glorification and a huge critique to the most savage parts of the human uh, experience. So here, basically, is the same. It's a very harsh critique to all the Puritan craze of the late 17th century, and the
Right.
and the paranoia that led into the witch hunting craze, and also a glorification of the so-called witch finder or witch hunter, which in this case our character is not exactly from the New World. He's an outsider
Right.
with his own set of beliefs and his own set of ways of finding out who is being accused wrongfully and who is being accused because in fact is indeed with the devil. So kind of that moral ambiguity in the game is something that we want to explore. And of course, in the end, we are not trying to do any moral judgment by ourselves,
Right.
but mostly left the player to reach its own conclusion about
Okay.
each of the suspects inside of a more combat and action focus uh,
Okay.
flow, moment to
Okay.
moment gameplay. So,
All right. Speaking on the technical side of it, what did you use to develop this game?
oh, the technical side, yeah, like I said, we have some. some support from Epic Games. So yeah, we're using Unreal Engine 5,
Okay,
and
cool.
we're using the motion matching system for our locomotion, um, which has been troublesome, but it's giving great results. Of course, this put us, technically speaking, this put us in a spot when it comes to budget, because we need to do a lot of mockup, which right now is very expensive. But we're finding solutions to cut down cost on the mockup sites, specifically in the region, which is something that you don't find easily. But yeah, I mean, Unreal Engine is basically now in the DNA of the project, and it's a great engine to work. Obviously, it's have a lot of documentation, and right now, Epic has been very, not only with us but with many indie developers, has been super helpful into
Right.
fixing and helping us to figure out the specific problems, specific issues, with the meta-human system and the new nanite system, and with Lumen for lighting, and and the chaos system, which basically now is the new physics system from the Unreal Engine. Uh, so yeah, we are also using a lot of Houdini and
Okay.
procedurally built stuff for integration, which has really cleared our workflow compared to other games that we have done in the past using
Right.
Unity 3D engine, and some other engines. Yeah, but we're learning the ropes, and Epic has been very helpful, and the publishers that we have talked to and some consultants has been very impressed by the results of the dev teams, which is I believe that these are the best devs in Mexico, the ones that we have. So yeah, it has been challenging, but
Right.
also very rewarding
Well,
on
that's
the
also
technical side.
cool. Yeah, that's cool because, like I said, I've interviewed a few developers in the past. Like, there's usually a rare few of them that use Unreal engines. Like, they use like the fourth one up until it's like a couple of them they use Unreal Engine 5, and
Yeah,
some of the others are they use like other engines. Whatever is convenient for them. But
of course.
well, yeah, did you find it like challenging to use on Unreal Engine 5 when creating this game, or is it just you just learn
I
as you
mean,
go?
well, I personally always want is since the moment I started working seriously since 2016 in gaming, I wanted to give it a shot in Unreal, because we were very Unity focused, because our
Right.
main client base was for mobile. But obviously, I wanted to jump into things that I actually, as a gamer, use myself. Console, PC gaming, etc., etc. And Unreal Engine seems like the best viable option at the time. So well, when the Unreal Engine 5 was announced, and things like Nanite and MetaHuman, and all these very very high end tools, well, finally my boss was convinced that okay, let's make the jump, let's train the team, let's start your game. And I pitched a couple of games, different games, for different genres, and Witches of the New World what was the one that caught the eye of the board, so to speak, of the company. So
Okay.
yeah, we started developing right away, and yeah, it was challenging at first, but right now I believe that we have a stable flow, and well, yeah, we are in the process of finding the rest of the funding, talking with publishers, the works. It's the most challenging part in that regard is not so much a technical or conceptual side, because
Okay.
everybody that we have talked to like the game and the concept and our work. The problem is that the region doesn't really they don't really know how to interpret Mexico as an industry, uh, part. It's more of a market right now. But yeah, we're trying to change that. But they're obviously cautious, and of course the investment that we're asking is not exactly cheap. So,
Right. Right.
but yeah, I mean, step by step, we're making some cuts here, working closely with some publishers that are giving us feedback with Epic itself, and little by little, we are closing the gap between the trust that we're generating with the publishers and the budget that they're willing to risk in a region which basically hasn't produced anything of this scope as of now. So that has been the most challenging part, I believe.
Okay. Cool. Cool. We just go ahead and move on to the presentation part. Like, are there any cutscenes? Like, what's the music gonna be like? Is there
Well,
voice acting?
well, I believe that you already have the trailer, if
Uh-huh.
I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, on the presentation side, what we're planning to have is, yeah, we are planning to have voice acting. Right now, we are a lot of things is staying in the cutting room floor, basically because of budget constraint. But yeah, the idea is that the game has a branching dialogue system, maybe not something as deep and as big, huge as Witcher 3 kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
obviously you need to make some moral decisions to figure out, who is being wrongfully accused, who is really in league with the devil, who is really a witch, and even you can make decisions once you find somebody that is working for the devil about what to do with them. So we need the dialogue system. So
Okay.
yeah, the music on the musical side, as you saw in the trailer,
Mhm.
well, what we're going to have is something akin to music from the late 17th century, which is not the most elegant or
Right.
complex classical music that you can find. In fact, it's kind of a mismatch with the horror-based theme
Right.
of the game. So we're also, taking the liberty to go a little bit further into the 18th century and stuff like that. And yeah, we have a composer which is also for Venezuela right now.
Oh, that's
But we're
cool.
really, yeah, but we're building a team. I mean, I have a couple of contacts here, people that have worked in the Mexican filmmaking industry that are
Right.
interested in the project, and also people that are in Europe right now,
Right.
which are also interested in the project. And yeah, cinematic wise, we're going to have more than a couple of cinematics in the game, hopefully.
Okay.
um, so yeah, that's basically on the side of the presentation. I mean, we're going to focus a lot. We're going to flirt with the horror elements of the game, specifically on the sound and graphic design.
Okay.
But no, that not something that like jump scare directly, like Resident Evil or something like that. More of
Right.
like basically The Witch,
Right.
2015 film The Witch, which is more a
Right.
little bit more cerebral and unsettling kind of horror, which is
Right.
going to be directly reflected on the sound design and the graphic aspect of the game.
All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get to the gameplay part. What's the gameplay like? Like combat? Is it like hack and slash, or is it just like you have to like solve puzzles? Something like.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, in the gameplay side, we're going to have basically two key components, which are traversal and combat. On the traversal side, we're going to go the route similar to Fallen Order, in the way that you interact with the world, but maybe not as exaggerated. I mean, this Witchfinder cannot run through walls,
Right.
run by do wall running on that kind of acrobatic stuff. But yeah, it's going to
Right.
be close to the very first, Prince of Persia, Tomb Raider kind of
Right.
stuff. You're going to climb through ledges, and you're going to jump different distances, and you're going to have a platforming with environmental puzzling, solving kind of things, traps and that kind of stuff. And on the combat side, we're going to go full Souls-like,
Okay.
but with a small twist, which I believe that I haven't play Jedi Survivor yet
Right.
because it came out like 2 days
Last
ago.
month. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah. Here in the States, it came out last week.
yeah, last week. So, but yeah, I believe that they already did it themselves. But yeah, it's going to have both hard lock and soft lock. Which
Okay.
when I was playing the first Fallen Order, actually, I thought, it appears that they wanted to have the soft lock system,
Right.
which you can find in games like, for example, Shadow of Mordor or Assassin's Creed, in which you don't need
Yes.
to, lock onto your target to actually direct your hits and change targets.
Right.
So I wanted to have the two of them, and we figured out technically, and it
Right.
was quite difficult. But yeah, we now have it working, and you can play both ways. I mean, for example, for a sub boss or a major enemy, you can have your locking system like in Dark Souls, and completely
Okay.
control how the character evades and block and parry the attacks of the enemy. And you can also, if you're fighting multiple weaker enemies, you can also deactivate your locking system and play as if it were Shadow of Mordor, and change from
Yeah.
one enemy to another. And the idea is that these characters, this Witchfinder, is very skilled with sword and
Right.
and flintlock pistols and daggers and throwing knife and that kind of things. And
Yeah.
of course, it has, like I said, Castlevania was the first starting point, so obviously had have a religious motive
Right.
around the character. So yeah, you're going to be basically like a religious monster hunter.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
that's on the gameplay side. Or of course, you're going to have outside of combat and traversal, you're going to have, like
Right.
I said, a branching dialogue system, and
Okay.
we have a couple of innovative stuff that we're toying with right now. For example, you have a morality system that is going to be based on your decisions and
Right.
actions with the more social part of the game,
Right.
and that is going to open to you different path on the progression of the character and regarding
Okay.
what type of like magic or holy powers he can use depending
Right.
on your morality. So yeah, basically the decisions that you make are going to define what kind of build you're going to have,
Mhm.
which is going to be combined with the type of weapons, different builds, weapon wise, that the players are going to choose. So in the end, there's a good mix to have different builds and replay the game. And we're even thinking about a multiplayer component
Okay.
for the after launch, which is going to play where the morality system and the different builds on
Okay.
the faith power system are going to play a huge part. So yeah, this ensures that different players can play the game different ways, and when they meet in multiplayer, they're going to
Uh,
really feel that they're fighting somebody that took a completely different path.
oh, that's cool.
So yeah, let's see how that works.
Right, because I remember when you mentioned Prince of Persia. Well, of course, I played the OG version, like the one that's really difficult. It's the one
Yeah,
you have to, yeah, they have to, take, your steps carefully, time your jumps, and get past like all the traps and stuff like that. But oh yeah, like the way the combat is there like a tutorial like just to get you into the game, like just to know the mechanic, like the fight mechanics and your travel
yeah.
mechanics, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
actually, the game is divided into 8 parts, if you will. I mean, you're going to start in basically the tutorial area, which is we picked St. Michael's Mount, which is in the Cornwall region in England, and it's a place with a lot of history, which I find very engaging, and
Mhm.
even it has its own folkloric witch stories, which
Right.
I'm not going to spoil. But yeah, you're gonna start in that area, and there you're gonna basically learn the ropes of combat, traversal, and a little bit about the fate system,
Okay.
and how you use your secondary weapons.
Right.
And afterwards, you're going to basically go into the Salem area, where you're going to get access. I mean, there you're going to find some friendly and or neutral NPCs, and you're going to begin your investigation about who is helping the Witch Covenant and who isn't helping the Witch Covenant, which is going to give you access each time you find um, an acolyte of the witches. You're going to gain
Right.
access to one of the witches' realm. Basically, one of the 7 witches that we have as villains in the game has created like his or her own world,
Right.
um, which is completely broken in a sense. So yeah, the reason for the realms is basically that the architecture and traversal side of New England is not complex enough to reflect the intricacies and backtracking of a Souls-like game, which is
Right.
something I really like I told you before. I mean, Jedi Knight, the
Right.
first Jedi Knight, and the complex traversal and verticality and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we came with the idea of the Witches Realm, where basically you're going to have places that doesn't really have architectural semantics. So
Right.
there are crazy places where we can play, we can do whatever we want in level design wise, until you basically find the witch, or kill it or capture it, and then you go back to Salem and you start over the whole process with the next one.
Okay. Cool. It's like the weapons that you use. Is there like an upgrade system, or does your character upgrade along with the weapons that he uses?
Yeah, no, there is an upgrade system based on attributes, which is going to impact different weapons, main weapons and sub weapons. And there's also going to be, like I said, the faith's magical system, which is
Okay.
going to be based on your morality,
Okay.
in a particular point in time. So yeah, you can move your morality, to one side or the other to get access to different powers, which you're going to use through relics that the characters carry with them. And yeah, basically the progression is going to be those 3 factors: attributes,
Okay.
the type of weapons that you use, and the fate system based on your morality. So
Okay.
that way you can create different builds.
Okay.
And regarding weapons, well, you have single-handle weapons, which is this character obviously start with a rapier, and then you are going to be able to have dual weapons like a rapier and a dagger, or a rapier and an axe, and you're going to have two-handed weapons. And outside of that, you have the sub weapons, which is what we call the offhand system, which is basically you hold R1 in the controller, and this is going to basically change the layouts of the inputs, and you're going to be able to throw things from your belt. So
Okay.
the guy has kind of like a Batman belt, where
Utility belt, yeah, that's cool.
utility belt, yeah. So there you can have like orbs with holy waters, throwing daggers, and of course flintlock pistols, which are very powerful, but they have one shot and they need to be recharged manually and slowly. So yeah, the idea is that the character actually moved and act kind of like Batman, if you think about it.
Right.
So it's a kind of a late 17th century Batman. In fact, we have a joke inside the office about that. Hashtag Jedediah is Batman. So
that's cool.
So yeah, and yeah, the idea is that the combination of all these items, because the attributes might take you into something else regarding the offhand system. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm going to go with the rapier, and I'm going to have, instead of a throwing dagger, flintlock pistol, and holy water, I'm going to have 3 flintlock pistols and the rapier. So basically, you are more focused into kind of range and firearms combat, but still you need to recharge. And yeah, and also you can base your faith system in that. Are there going to be faith power that basically is going to allow you to reload your weapon faster in the case of the firearms, or maybe do more damage with the rapier, that kind of stuff, and also more aggressive power if your morality is going more into the dark side. You're going to have other type of powers more based on the use of fire, or electrocution, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I believe that covers the progression.
That's cool. Like you mentioned, and you mentioned the rapier and all that. Like, even though you said it kind of joking Batman, but like from the way you were talking, it sounds like more like a Zorro in that area.
Well, yeah, that's also a good comparison. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for Zorro, you wouldn't have Batman.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, you're entirely correct. But yeah, also characters like I said, like Solomon Kane from Robert E. Howard, which also are kind of like Zorro thing.
Yep.
And they are very nimble and resourceful.
Right.
So yeah, basically the offhand system is that this is a guy that hunt witches and vampires and other monsters for a living. So yeah, he obviously has a lot of stuff in his utility belt. So
okay. Oh yeah, you mentioned this game's gonna be released on the PS5. Is that gonna be the first system to be out first, or do you plan on putting it probably on other systems like PC or Xbox or Switch?
Yes, but so currently we're aiming for the hardware configuration of the PS5 for technical reasons, basically. Okay. So we only have to test one system.
Okay.
And the game needs to runs well in one system. But yeah, obviously our aim to this is to have it in as many platforms as possible.
Right.
Even we have some offers. I can't name names right now of the companies, but we have some offers for cloud gaming.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. But yeah, that's the reason why we're starting with the PS5, so we don't have to do a lot of QA testing on different PC builds and the Xbox One build, so the Xbox Series X, sorry. So yeah, we decided to go with the PS5 first, and of course we are already in talks with Sony to get the PlayStation kit and all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. All right, I'll say say your game comes out 2 years from now. Say
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Like use that to draw a little scenario. It's like, say your game does well, it sells well, of course on PlayStation, and possibly in the future probably on other platforms. Like, say if it does great all around. Do you plan on doing expansions on the main game, or do you plan on doing a sequel to it, something in the future?
I don't want to reveal that much about that, but let's say that there's a plan. I mean, the game is constructed around a universe. I mean, this is not exactly a one-shot idea, and yeah, it's a very interesting universe. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
which have the potential to be transmedia, even outside
Okay.
video games. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily is going to be focused on the same themes at the first, because I mean, like I said, the main draw initially was things like Castlevania, Solomon Kane. So
Right.
yeah, and we're really diving into the witchcraft and witch hunting side, historical side of things. So if there is a sequel in the future, it's probably going to be about something entirely different than witches per se. But
Okay.
of course, you're going to recognize the connective tissue or thread with the
Right.
past game. And as we move along, if we have this luck to move along into the story, I mean, right now, I believe that, of course, in full development, only we have the Witches of the New World, but in early ideas and creative process, we have about 5 games within the same
Okay.
universe, planned in different time periods and against different classical monsters. So yeah, hopefully, if everything goes cool as planned, we should have a couple of these at
Okay.
least. Oh,
All right. All right. Yeah. Basically, that's all the questions I have. But like I said, like before we get into our outros, like do you want to tell anybody out there like where they can contact you? Like do you have like any social medias? Like I mean, you're welcome to give those out.
yeah, well, right now, I believe I gave you a little bit of that information, but yeah, you can find us right now in Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram,
Okay.
Witches of the New World. And in the case
Okay.
of Twitter, which is where our most active social media is, at Witches New World. You can find us
All right.
there, and of course, you have Horizontal Entertainment website where you can find more information about the game, and you can check out the trailer. Also, if you put
Right.
Witches of the New World in YouTube right now, I mean, we did with the GDC, we did well. We're a small team, so we did it
Right.
ourselves. I mean, I did this small marketing campaign, and with this a PR campaign that my lead writer, like I said,
Okay.
that he's an actual literature writer. He's also a PR, so
Right.
he did a great job on the media side. And
That's cool.
in the GDC week, we had like 100 publications in different languages, different countries, which was very nice, very
That's cool.
heartwarming and overwhelming. So
Yeah.
yeah, right now in Google, you put Witches of the New World, and you're going to find a couple of hits
All
there.
right.
But yeah, if you want to contact us directly, you can find us in Twitter. Is the social media where we are most active, and
All
we
right.
are kind of we are getting a lot of publishers that want to contact us, media that want to do some interviews, or get our press kit to do an article, and also people that are interested in working on the game when we have some more budget. In fact, we have had a lot of voice actors interesting in
Oh,
playing
cool.
some of the characters that you can see in the teaser trailer. So yeah, you can get us through there.
All right. All right, everyone. Well, that concludes another interview. Of course, I'm your host, Sinister. You can follow me on my social medias at Conshoot19 on Twitter and Sinister1019 on Instagram. And that being said, hope y'all have a good night, y'all. Peace.
Thank you.